Could Kevin Willard leave Maryland?
No, I don't know. I thought the way he's handled this publicly at press conferences has been pretty impressive. But now I don't see how. I really don't. With what he's instilled in this program and the backing that he has. I know it's one of your favorite fan bases, but they're all in.
They travel. Got him.
Welcome to the Green Light Podcast presented by BetMGM. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code GREENLIGHT. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. If that bet loses, you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just make sure you use bonus code GREENLIGHT when you sign up.
Greenlight Pod, directly after rounds 1 and 2 of the NCAA Tournament. Cowboy Reed's here. We need to talk to Stanford Steve, the man, the myth, on all things college sports. Chris tapped out of this one because, collegiate athletics.
He was good.
Doesn't mess with amateurs.
Yep.
Chris is on his way back home. Well-deserved little birthday outing, pre-birthday outing to the beach. And he'll be back later this week.
We've got some heat for you later this week, too. I just want to, not to cut you off.
So much heat. No, I mean, you cut me off.
Yeah.
But it was welcome. You can do whatever you want here, Cowboy. This is your world. So keep it locked. Here's Stanford Steve. Hope you all are doing so very well. Peace and blessings. Steve, White Steve, welcome to the show. What's up?
Gentlemen, you're all confusing me in different chairs. But it is great to see your spectacular faces.
How's Florida? How's the state of Florida?
Let's see. Hour 25 for lunch, Uber Eats. Asked the person if I could walk somewhere for dinner. And she responded with, "Do you have a car?" And I said, that's why I asked if I could walk somewhere, because I don't have a car. So that was a great conversation that got rewound about 3 different times. It's great. Weather's fantastic, but I've never been in Palm Beach Gardens. I've never been here, so I'm very unfamiliar with this part of Florida.
Palm Beach Gardens. That'll be north of Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
Way north. Yeah, I think it was like 12, 15 miles north of West Palm.
Do you want to hear about my first and second round setup? It was pretty sweet. As a, you know how you have like a home and away, Cowboy? I got the New Orleans trip for the Super Bowl to hang out with you folks, with Steve, although I didn't see much of Steve, even though he was at our house most of the week.
You were working, man. You were grinding.
I was really grinding.
Out at that 4-lane.
Just how hot. You like that? That come together nicely for you?
It did, man. You were very patient in your ways.
I have a text to one of Rosillo's friends called Mike at 4:32 in the morning on Friday night. And I have a memory of our talking about our entire lives for about 2.5 hours. It could have been 25 minutes. And I think we were going to test each other the next day by acknowledging that the conversation had happened, and all I have is a text that says my name to him at 4:32 a.m. No response ever. That's going to be the end of that relationship.
I feel like everybody when they go to the Super Bowl has about 10 of those texts in their phones going in and out, names, late hours. The
name is key though. That starts it, but it might not end it, but it starts it. And I know if that's Mikey that you're talking to, oh boy, is he a legend.
I have first and last name, and he was way more nice, entertaining, engaging, etc., than Ryan has ever been.
Oh yeah.
So I may continue to grow that relationship.
That says more about you, I think.
Date. What I gave up and I didn't realize it at the time, was a late March weekend where my wife went to a spa with a friend for roughly 48 hours, and more than that, midday Friday to late Sunday. And I was solo dad with 3 kids under 5 during the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament.
How'd that go?
Of the kids into the tournament so far?
Like their attention is held for like a possession, and then it's gone. So I set up the hoop next to the TV.
There's a lot of possessions, though. That's good.
I set up a hoop, and the 4-year-old girl, she wants to go by basketball Gunter, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So I introduce her. It's like at guard from Virginia, 3'10", number 89. She wants to be number 89. Basketball Gunter, and then she'll go fire a Nerf ball off the underside of the rim. It'll come back, smack her in the face. She'll start crying, but then she'll want to do it again. So it was not the ideal viewing experience for what's been an okay tournament. Steve, what say you about this perceived lack of parity? Only Power 4 schools are in the Sweet 16. High margins of victory on average. Is this going to be the new norm with great players on Cinderella type teams going to Power 4 schools? Or is this just one of those tournaments which we get every few years?
Everybody wants their data points, right? This is like considered one data point for me because every tournament's its own. Tough to tell trends. What I did wonder going in was when everyone's picking their High Point and Akron and Montana, is I just started to wonder, like, these teams, to your point, all their best players are moved on. Like, all the big boys took them. And what was that discrepancy going to be? And it turned out I thought it was pretty high level because to those point, like High Point, I got scared. They haven't played a quad 1 game in 2 years. And people are just picking them because they think of Purdue. I'm like, Purdue went to the national championship last year, and everybody just has their trends and their likes, and I get it. So, yeah, everybody wants the upsets. Everybody has their story about the small school when they pick them. Mostly it's just relatives that gone there. That's not enough validation for me. I did think McNeese was better than I thought they were better last year than this year. They proved me wrong. So it's a lot. It's a lot to dissect. I do love entrenching myself during championship week to try and learn about these teams and start watching conference semis and, while the other guys are playing regular season games. And I thought there were a couple teams that could compete and they couldn't. So it's not to everybody's liking, but I think you also got to give the credit to the teams that got here. I mean, they built their rosters. Read a lot about Duke and how they went about things. You heard the Jeremy Roach story. He was a kid who was 4 years, was a point guard during the transition of K to Shire, Virginia kid. And it was a mutual part of the ways. How CBS cut away before him and Shire had a moment in the handshake line, I'll never know. But
things are flying fast in that truck, man. Ready, camera 2, take
There's
2.
one thing they talked about during the game. The story of the game was that.
Ready, camera 3, take 3.
Well, hey, I will say the team that likes to give it out the most and maybe is the most talkative conference, the Big East, they're nowhere to be found. And I think that was a real humbling weekend for the Big East folks, seeing how St. John's magical season, no doubt, but then you got to give it to you. And then UConn, it's been a long time since we've seen them in the underdog role and gave it their all. And they're going home now too as the quest for the three-peat's over. So there's plenty of awesome stuff in the tournament, and I think the really good teams are. And then I look at this week as that now you're playing your conference tournament semifinals Thursday and Friday night, and then it's that conference title to get to the Final Four. The matchups are incredible. I do a list on Valentine's Day every year on teams that I think would win the national title.
But your wife loves that.
And Duke was given a cakewalk to others, and I said they had the toughest road because I had 5 teams that could win a national title in that region, and 4 of them are left, and the 5th was Wisconsin. So I think they got their work cut out for them, but I can't wait. I mean, Bama, BYU, what's that total? It's like 179. Like that's awesome. So I'm super fired up for these matchups. But wherever you guys want to go and what we watched, I'm here because I did not have zero help with the kids. We were invested. We were over at the beach, and we had all eyes on everything.
I'm a big homework guy, Steve. You know that about me. I'm fully learned up on all of these games, teams, matchups, etc. Let's go to the West. I saw a clip of SV Pod. Is that how we say it? And this was back whenever ago, where you included Maryland in that list of teams that could win national title. So that's all I needed to be high on Maryland. I have a little West regional final of Maryland and Texas Tech.
Oh,
it'll be Now, I think Derek Queen is still moonwalking across the court to get that shot up and off the backboard.
How did I know this was going to be the start?
No, it's fine. Hey, I wouldn't have called it either.
Thank you.
It's only a travel in slow motion. It's fine. Let them play on. Love that Nico Medved. Congratulations to the Golden Gophers. Great coach. It'll be Florida and Maryland. I wasn't super impressed with Maryland last night. Do they have what it takes to compete with Florida, who's gotten its scare in the round of 32?
Yeah, the things coming into this, I thought Florida was super impressive coming back because I thought 5 minutes into the game, UConn was going to win. They got any shot they wanted. And what was crazy was Florida could not get shots off at the rim, which they did all tournament long in the SEC tournament. Like they buried teams, winning every game by double figures. And you see the success of what that conference has become. And I thought, the idea that it was overrated coming in the tournament was absurd because I watched the games. But Maryland, they got to have their A+. And Florida needs to be off again. I think that's pretty evident. I think Maryland would tell you that also. The depth thing is enormous. I mean, Florida rolls, I think, 11, whereas everyone knows the Crab 5, and they're last in the country in bench points. I think they get 6 per game. But that starting 5 is real, man. They could shoot it. Every guy could put it on the deck. Every guy knows their roles. And they got older guards. The thing that's impressive about Florida is how their guards rebound. And Florida's going to be a lot bigger than them at that position. So we saw Florida win that game with getting keeping balls alive on missed free throws at the end. So that's a big deal. But Maryland's good is as good as anybody in the country, but they know they got to be their best. And that's what I hope for when you get to this stage and you get your team to enjoy that next weekend and practice together. I don't believe Maryland's coming home having to play in Seattle and then going to San Francisco. So, I mean, that's the good stuff about those teams hanging out. You got your one and dones, you got your transfers, but that time when you're all together is awesome. So I just hope, these, like I said, these teams get to this stage. You want them to play well because you don't know when you're going to be back on this stage, and that's most important.
Steve, you said it the other day, and we have to give you credit that UConn was going to struggle against good guards, and that's what they ran into with Florida. Walter Clayton, like 3 straight threes on the wing.
Is he the Iona guy?
Yep.
Yeah, he lost 50 pounds at Iona playing for Patino.
Yep.
Speaking of, is this just Cal's dream of all dreams? You come in as a 10 seed, you have all the talent in the world, you've advanced to the Sweet 16, you do it going through Bill Self and Rick Pitino, and the guys kind of look good doing it. Boogie Flan's back.
Yeah.
John L. Davis, great player. I mean, Florida's super good, but could they keep this rolling?
I believe so. The funny thing about it's the most Calipari thing ever is, we're waiting on Sunday morning on Selection Sunday, and Cal puts out a statement, hey, we're going to get Boogie Flan back. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. They were winless in the SEC when he was playing, 0-5. He didn't win an SEC game. But to Coach Cal's credit, he gets him back, and he was a major difference maker in the win against Kansas, and he had a couple monster plays against St. John's. So I found myself this year rooting for Cal just because everyone threw him to the side. I still appreciate what he's done for the sport. He was a bulldog about the way he went about things at Kentucky. how close he gets. The Rick Barnes thing is interesting to me. I find myself rooting for him also because everyone just wants championships. And, with that, I think coaches should get a lot more credit for going to Final Fours, but even more so, Barnes has with the one Final Four, but there's a ton of Sweet 16s and Elite Eights in this tournament. And you guys know it's super hard to win in this freaking tournament. So I've always thought the world of Cal, the way he recruited, the way he got his guys ready, being the favorite all the time. And I think those guys relish. You saw UConn relish the idea of being an underdog yesterday and how well they played. But also Cal Parent, I don't want to say no pressure because that fan base is as crazy as anyone. But you could see the freedom what they played and the game plan to go by guys with the dribble, knowing that he had belief in his guys that they could do it. You didn't see that all year against St. John's. They bodied everybody, and then they wore you out in the last 8 minutes. It was an absolute grind to try and beat them. And Arkansas, I thought he even fast-forward more, saying the first 5 minutes out of the second half was the most important. And Arkansas gave him a dose. The way they got to the rim was spectacular. And I give that coaching staff credit for getting their guys ready and having a plan to go at St. John's, who looked unbeatable at times this year.
Does it bother you that Duke is more likable now with John Shire, with White Mike?
Doesn't matter to me. It's one of my favorite teams I've watched from that program. The balance, the defense, that's what I keep going back to, the versatility defensively, how hard they play. And Shire's done a great job of wheeling and dealing the roster and price and spots. I did say, I texted with you because they came to Virginia, and that's when Malik got hurt for the first time. And I didn't think they could win a national title without him. I think he's that important because of his versatility and switches and the length. I know you were blown away by seeing them in person. They are spectacular, the size, the speed they play with. But if Cooper Flagg's going to make 3 balls, 2 off the bounce, that's something that we haven't really seen this year. And if they play like they did yesterday, I mean, they're not going to lose. But they're going to put up against them. But again, winning the ACC tournament without them, I thought gave the guys a lot of confidence. And you saw that coming in. They played pretty free yesterday and rolling to a win.
You're right. It was incredible. They played so hard against Virginia for 40 minutes with Cooper Flagg bringing the ball up the floor. Mm-hmm. Con Knipple was as big as our power forward, and he's running all around the court shooting.
He was committed to Virginia, right?
Con Knipple, word has it, was verbally committed to Virginia, which is a little bit different than signing the letter of intent. But he was good enough to let our coaches know when he publicly committed to Duke in the $1 million bag that he received in Durham, which was sweet. Okay. Our coach retired shortly thereafter. You may have seen that. Leonard Hamilton said this was one of the most connected Duke teams that he had ever coached, which is pretty impressive because these guys are around each other for 5 months at a time this go round. But they look sweet. The team I know least about in the Sweet 16 is their opponent, and that's Arizona. I don't know if it's because of this Big 12 switcheroo in the Big 12 Arizona. I mean, it's Oregon and Arizona, a classic Big 12, Pac-12 matchup the other day. Does Arizona provide any sort of threat to the Blue Devils?
Absolutely. Because as a Duke fan, it's like an old movie with Freddy Krueger, Jason, whoever you want, Michael Myers, Caleb Love, and what he did to Duke in that run that they went to the title game. Gave it to Coach K in his last home game, gave it to him in the Final Four, and now he's at Arizona. And watching that game, Arizona played Duke earlier in the year in Tucson, and you saw both teams were totally different. Arizona's got great guards, speed, and they really play good defense with their guards, which you want in March. So I think the idea of Arizona having already seen the length and connectiveness of Duke totally helps them. And Caleb was unbelievable last night against Oregon, and his good is as good as anyone in the country. How he's not on the NBA, like his game is just made for the NBA, and how he could create his own shot and make it. So he's not afraid to shoot from anywhere. That gets him in a little bit of trouble sometimes, But they get that version of Caleb, they're gonna beat Duke.
If you're hiring a new coach from this group of 16, isn't it Chris Beard? I know there's baggage, Steve. I know there's a little bit of baggage.
Yeah.
All he does is get players and win.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss is in the Sweet 16. They have Michigan State.
Yeah, and what they did, you don't see out of a 6 seed. Like, they coasted. I mean, the Carolina game got tight late, but they had double-digit leads early in both games and really led start to finish comfortably, which you don't see. But that's a credit to the coach. Had his team ready. I love how he breaks down the game with matchups and ways he wants to attack, and that's a good sign of a team executing a game plan. To come out and be that crisp offensively when you're in neutral sites and you're playing different teams, but to see the ball go in the hoop. Padula has been an unbelievable transfer. I believe he's the last guy to beat K in the ACC tournament, and he's been incredible as far as shot-making ability. And they're not big, but they play a lot bigger than they are. They're undersized guys, but they rebound, and they did a great job against a team at Iowa State I think the world of, and they gave it to Carolina in building that lead early. So I am fascinated with Kevin Young at BYU, Macon. He's been an NBA assistant forever, and when you watch BYU, how good they are in spacing, shooters, everybody knows each other's role. They have big funding. They have the number one player, Batanza, coming in next year, who some people believe is on a higher ceiling than Cooper Flagg. So what he's done. I absolutely love that team. And I thought they had a tough draw with getting VCU and then playing a really good Wisconsin team who was on my list. So that's my most fascinating game is BYU and Alabama when you look at Sweet 16, just because of the ability to put the ball in the hoop. Both those teams have it. Alabama, my issue with them, and it's the only one, is I still don't know who their best five is. And they're going to need it against BYU in their next game if they're going to want to go to San Antonio.
Alabama giving 4.5 points, and 174.5 is the total.
Woo.
Yeah, it's going to be up and down, man. Both those teams like to do that. So it'll be awesome watch.
Could Kevin Willard leave Maryland?
No, I don't know. I thought the way he's handled this publicly at press conferences has been pretty impressive. But now I don't see how. I really don't, with what he's instilled in this program and the backing that he has. I know it's one of your favorite fan bases, but they're all in.
They travel. Got him.
You said it. I did not. So no, I don't see that happening.
Okay.
What's transpired?
I'll pat myself on the back. Cowboy will tell you I had this being a chalky tournament, in part because of what we talked about. The teams that were upsetting these teams in years past have been together for 3 or 4 years. Now they're together for 5 months, and their best players are at other schools. And I thought there was a good chance of 4 1-seeds advancing to the Final Four, Houston being one of them. But are we overlooking last year's national finalist that boasts Lawyer, Smith, Trey Kaufman-Renn, First is a guy's name?
Yep.
Imagine if they still had Mason Gillis. Matt Painter's a great coach. Could this Midwest get a little fun here in the Sweet 16?
Well, you see where they're playing the games, right?
I do.
They're in Indianapolis, and Kelvin Sampson's got to be like, my God, what did I do to people? Like, he has to play Gonzaga to get to the Sweet 16. But yeah, I thought Purdue was as impressive as anybody because, again, everybody just wanted to poop on them because of not last year, but the years previous and how they got knocked off. And knowing that with those guys that were a part of the bad losses, I loved what I saw from them because they knew this was they've had some demons, and McNeese had all the billings, with the jukebox or boombox, whatever you call it. I don't know what it is. There's so many sponsors on it, but congrats to the Aura creating his deal. But McNeese tried bullying them, and Purdue just gave them punch after punch, and Braden Smith was spectacular. I know there's a lot of talk about Big Ten Player of the Year, but he showed why he deserved it in that game because they couldn't get the ball away from him, and your point guard's got to be rock solid against that run and jump stuff that McNeese likes to do. And I came right off the jump, just gave it to him, and they didn't play shy. They shot threes, they made them, and Wren was awesome inside. And I don't think I've seen a team foul as much as McNeese did, and that could get intimidating. But Purdue responded as well as anyone in that round to get to the Sweet 16.
I liked Will Wade's pressers. He was just missing the sentence that was, but right now we're focused on bringing a championship back to McNeese. Like, yeah, I'm talking to other schools, one in particular, and I'm going to bring some of these guys, and the other guys have opportunities, and everything's good. But right now, we're laser focused. That was the only thing he was missing, in my opinion. In 2019, we had a very similar tournament. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 in the Sweet 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 12. And that tournament had some of the very best Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four games. And Virginia got Purdue in Louisville in that Elite 8 game. And I don't know that I've ever left more impressed with the fan base than those Boilers filling up the Yum Center and being loud as hell, beating Tennessee 2 nights before, and Carson Edwards giving Virginia everything he had. So I can't even imagine what it'll be like in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that was I know you guys laugh at it. That was one of the worst beats I've ever saw. I had Purdue money line that night, and that was a rough one. What year was Joe Harris got beat by Michigan State at Madison Square Garden? Was that 17?
That's 14.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
okay.
14.
I was at those games. That was awesome. That's where I gained respect for the UVA people.
That was Chris's birthday. Speaking of, Chris turns 40 on Friday. So,
Damn. What'd you guys get him? He's not going to listen. He's not listening to this, so you could just tell me.
No kidding. I'm getting him. I will come to your house on a Friday night to celebrate you for 70 to 90 minutes.
No spa days? Friday?
No spa
okay.
days.
Good.
No spa days.
Reed?
Are we right on the year, Cowboy?
Yep, 2014. That was the Tevin Jones year.
Worst, yeah, Tevin got fouled.
Yep.
The worst loss in program history, Steve, worse than Chaminade and worse than UMBC, is 2016 Syracuse in the United Center, up by 10 with 10 to go, and Malachi Richardson went crazy. Steve, how do you like the Virginia hire? Speaking of Maryland, Baltimore County, Ryan Odom is the next men's basketball coach at UVA.
I don't know why you texted me, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. And I held off, which I'm shocked. But you texted me, not like I said, the Saturday prior. I was at UMBC watching my nephew play lacrosse, and I was going to take a picture of the golden retriever on the field and send it to you, but I didn't. I did not. So
thank you.
Speaking of UMBC and Ryan Odom, I think it's wonderful. What he's done at every stop is like instant success. And growing up at ACC, I always thought the world of his dad at Wake Forest and how the different ways and players that he got to go there, which we haven't seen Wake do in a while. So I look at this hire because you want stability and you want a guy that's done it, right? And that's exactly what you guys need. And it feels like it's got to be, not a piece change. It's got to be a wholesale change. And now you got a guy that is going to be coming in that's done it at different places. And I also saw he got the Longwood head coach to be his associate, right? Like that tells me that you're spending money to get guys that your coach wants. And now you find out because it's funny how it keeps coming back to us. But the first weekend of College Game Day this summer in Ireland, Nick Saban said, if you pay the wrong guys, you're shit out of luck. And that's what it's about now. As we talk about these rosters and these teams, so that's what it's about now. I think everybody knows that. I think everybody's ready for a big change in Charlottesville, and I'm fired up because you got as an established guy as you could get for this moment, and having success in this recent climate too. I think is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, it'll be cool. A little bit of a war chest here in Seville now to play with. He got a 4-star point guard on day one in Chance Mallory. And I think his presser's Monday at 3 p.m. He's going to get the UMBC question, I don't know, 25 times. And I think what you need to understand, Steve, and what Coach Odom shortly will, is that we kind of like that part of the story now. It's kind of the beginning of what led to 2019.
Correct.
The adversity, as our former coach used to say. It'll buy you a ticket to a place you couldn't have gotten to any other way. Cowboy knows that well, if you learn to use it right. I can't wait to hear how he answers those questions today.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm going. Am I going? Yeah.
Are you going to ask a question?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to ask a question. I'm staying in the back.
You should ask him who his favorite player was from Virginia growing up.
His dad was an assistant here under Terry Holland. They lived here. Ryan was age 8 to 15 or so. It's probably going to be like
that's
Otho
too young
Wilson.
for Bryant Stith.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think Dave had left, but maybe not. It's right around there.
All right.
What's your behind Ryan Odom? What's your other favorite hire in this cycle? We got Medved to Minnesota. Sounds
that
like
one.
Sean Miller to
that
Texas.
One.
It's Medved.
Medved's phenomenal. I mean, you saw how he had his guys going last night in their biggest spot. They went 11-0 in their last 11 games. Covered every one. They covered last night, so that's 12. But you talk to anybody in the profession of how he, coaching against them with his sets, ability to get players to Fort Collins should be a lot easier to get them to the barn in Minnesota.
Can you win there? Can anybody win there? Sustained success.
Basketball, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Who do you like? You like Sean Miller to Texas?
Not particularly. I think Will Wade and NC State's a perfect fit.
Oh man.
I mean, they're going to.
If you had one word to describe the NC State fan base, what is it?
What a great question.
Thank you.
Trashy. What about you?
Loud.
Okay. They don't have a whole lot to cheer about these days, but loud.
But they're still loud.
All right. What the hell else do we have for this guy? You can redo it. You don't have to stick to your bracket. Who's your national champion now that you've seen the first weekend?
Ooh.
And who are they beating in the title game?
I want to say Florida beats Tennessee.
Florida beats Tennessee. I like that a lot. Have you ever had a root canal, Steve?
I want to say multiple.
Really?
Yeah.
They're not so bad. Remember when we were...
No, not even close. Impacted molar is some of the most pain I've ever had.
When we were young bucks, it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That'd be like a root canal. Routine procedure, kind of enjoyable. I nearly fell asleep, Cowboy. Shout out Dr. Katie Lee.
Never thought of the not a lot of people know what it means, but our high school coach used to say when a team was really good defensively, it was like trying to swim in a taffy pool.
I like that.
That was his. Not a lot of people get it, but when you think about it, that's like freaking impossible.
I like that a lot. I had a kid, and
you have
took
3.
a picture. Yeah. But I had the third one, and my wife, fuck it. We're in the hospital, and there's a picture taken of me and the 3 kids, and I smile under those beautiful, bright hospital lights, not unlike the lights we have in the studio. And then I zoom in on me because I want to see how I'm looking, and there's this darkly shaded tooth. Like a Tiger Woods sort of situation brewing. I was like, what is this? And so flash forward a year and 3/4, I start to get it looked at because the healthcare system in this country is just absurd. Dental insurance specifically. Anyway, go to see this Dr. Katie Lee. She does a root canal last week. The thing's it's the right shade. Didn't even do anything to it. She said it was definitely a trauma. I had been hit, and it could have.
That's how I had mine.
Yeah, she said
That's
it could have
okay.
been when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that adversity.
Yeah, you say that again, cowboy. So I'm fired up, man. I'm showing teeth and smiles, Steve.
Love
it's
it.
Great. Okay. This is a football show, Steve. I know you said you really want to talk a little football before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Do you want to take your victory lap on Cam Ward? Because it wasn't too long ago when you were telling us about an incarnate word quarterback called Cam Ward, who is now the odds-on favorite to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft.
It's pretty nuts. I actually was doing somebody brought it up. There was like we do our ESPN college football meetings, in August. And this was the year going into Wazoo, and we had like dark horse Heisman guys. And my 2 were him, and then that's when Dylan Gabriel went to Oklahoma. And I'm just like, look at where they didn't even end up they had their most success at the school after I thought they were going to have a ton of success. No, I going back and watching the games too with Cam Ward, like, even the bowl game when nobody thought he was going to play, how comfortable he is amongst chaos is pretty insane. The issue I have is we loved Caleb Williams because of that, and it didn't improve at the next level because of the size and speed that those guys are going to see. So I think he's smart enough to know that. I think that's going to be the number 1 thing put in his head. But you talk about ability, man. That dude did it. They knew they had to score, 40 plus to win games. They get burned at the end of the season because their defense can't hold up. But what a way he's come back, because he didn't end the Wazoo's career great. I mean, he was bad at the end of that season, and the naysayers were, what's the big deal? He's going to Miami, but he proved all those people wrong. And man, what a position he's put himself in.
What position does Travis Hunter play?
I think it depends where he goes, because if he goes, let's say Tennessee, something happens or whatever, like they are starving for some kind of wow factor. Like, you got to give the people a taste. And I mean, there's no one like him in this draft. I mean, he does things we've never seen before. So I'm going to say both to start, because that wherever he goes needs some juice offensively, and that's why they're at the top of the draft. So I'm going to say both. I would weigh obviously more towards the snaps on the defensive side, but when you watch the ball skills, man, like everybody's like, oh, what's he better at? I would think he's putting in more time physically into defensive back, and if he put the time in offensively, he'd be just as good on that side too.
And finally, hard to take a flyer in round 1. Would you take a flyer in round 1 on quarterback Jackson Dart, Mississippi?
I would not. I think this draft is so deep in places where you can make your team better instantly. When you look at the defensive line, especially in the interior, which you saw how important that position is in the Super Bowl. Edge rushers, there's more guys. The one guy that I guess it's a flyer because he's a guard, and I think he's the best offensive lineman in the draft, is Booker out of Alabama. Like, you want to make your team better? I absolutely love him, and starting to see people come around on that. But I've said going into the season, he was the best offensive lineman. And when I say that, it's obviously centers, guards, and tackles, and I think he's better than all of them, and will make your team better as soon as you take him.
Heisman Lookahead won't hold you to it, but
won't hold him to it. He's taken victory laps from 2 years ago.
Well, that's actually 3.
Yeah, it really is. Who do you like at the top, to stand there in New York? 2020, end of 2025.
In-
Right?
Do you have odds in front of you?
Enhance.
Yeah.
Arch
Arch
Manning,
Madness.
is plus 700. Garrett Nussmeier
You got it.
plus 850. Cade Klubnik plus 1100. Jeremiah Smith plus 1200. Drew Aller plus 1300.
Go to the next guy.
Nico, you're gonna have to help me, Steve.
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
Boom, plus 1400. Dante Moore plus 18. Lenora Sellers plus 18.
One-time Virginia commit Lenore Sellers.
Oh. I would look at who was right after Nussmeier? Oh, Klubnik. I would look at Klubnik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They took those steps, and they're only going to get better. They needed success on the perimeter, and they've struck out a bunch with who they recruited, and now they have guys. And I think he took huge steps this past year, and I look at him as now being the guy where you get all the accolades and you don't have success right away, and you look at who he followed at that university. Those are big ass shoes to fill, and he took the right steps last year, and I think he's going to have a monster year for Clemson this year.
One guy on here, he hadn't played, I think maybe but a few snaps. Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin. Like,
just saying,
is that he's also plus 1800? That seems wild to anoint him with a Heisman odd equal to a few guys who have played 2 or 3 seasons.
Plug and play, Cowboy.
Yeah, it's a situation
everywhere.
Situation he's going into. The issue is how much Ohio State feels like we run into that all the time. Whether going back to who was it? I'm trying to think of the running back, but it was also the receivers. It was like, all right, which guy's going to get the votes? Like these people, it's the worst voted on award in sports. Do they like the receiver better or do they like the running back better? But Jeremiah Smith obviously is the best player in the sport. But I seen him throw. He could sling it. He's not as tall as you think, but everyone around him really thinks the world of him. And that's a pretty big pressure cooker situation. But he's got the goods and the surroundings to be successful. So I expect big things from him. But I still lean Klubnik.
Steve, we've got no more use for you. Where can we see you on television or telephones or?
We got big TGL playoffs down here in Palm Beach Gardens. We'll be on after that Monday, Tuesday. SV Pod is out recapping Maryland's win. Scott talking about the emotions of finally winning a game at the buzzer, knowing they lost 5 this year in the last 7 seconds. So that was fun. And, we just went through the brackets, and that'll be out this week.
I'm not saying let me say I was rooting for my bracket and not actually Maryland. But when that kid hit that 3, perhaps a bit of me felt bad for the Terps. What a game. We finally got one. If Chris were here, he'd be talking about how terrible this tournament is, how bad college sports are.
We know.
How we need to be talking about whoever the hell, Jameis Winston.
I'm also very much looking forward. Are we? Do you have? What is it? Do you have April? Do you have April 3rd, 4th, and 5th open?
April 3rd and 4th. We're going to see it.
It's
here
that soon?
Yeah.
They hit like a month earlier this year.
Good God.
The biggest disappointment of this weekend of the April 3rd and 4th is that UVA plays baseball away, so we don't have a baseball game to go to on Friday.
Can we just go there where the beer and is that open year round?
Yeah, we can get
in there. Go hang out in there. I
when are you coming down, Steve? What day?
I'm going to come down Thursday morning.
Okay.
We can watch the women's Final Four on the 4th.
Okay.
Perfect. Fat Perez is going to be here, Steve, so we'll need you to,
Boy, is he blown up ever since coming last year.
Yep.
Steve's going to be here in 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
We're just getting off the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Lucky us.
Can I pump your guys' tires for a little bit though?
Yeah.
Love it.
I haven't been able to talk to you. I think I texted Macon. But what you guys put on in the the energy you need and have for that Super Bowl week. And you guys don't mess around. You're there 7 days, or actually 8, it felt like. But leaving the Green Light House Friday night and just looking down and seeing 3:45 and just, Irish exit, goodbye, walk back home. And then to wake up Saturday, which had to be close to 80 degrees, and open the old bird and see you guys at an outdoor party getting after it again. I am still amazed at the wherewithal that your crew has. It was, I can't tell you, like, I almost got sick seeing, like, if I, like, putting myself, like, if I had to do that today, I think I have to tap out.
And it was hot.
Oh, it looked unbelievable. I mean,
the sun was beating down on us. All the credit goes to the 2 other people in this room, Tanner and the Cowboy. But Steve, when I tell you that Cowboy came up to me about 5:00 just after we got off stage that Saturday and said, "Hey, no big deal. Take a deep breath. But Chris is talking about not going home right now and instead going home tomorrow morning." I nearly began to violently throw up. And instead I held it together, got all my bags, put them on my shoulders, and then walked 3 inches in front of Chris's face and just stared at him until he said something. And what he said was, "Oh, you want to get back?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to get back."
Just a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
You really did hold that together, and I felt terrible telling you that, but I think you needed to know it.
I would have walked home.
Yeah.
I would have walked home. That was about to be bad. Thank you, Steve. We love
All right,
you.
boys. Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you soon. A little too soon, but we'll see you soon.
Yes.
We'll get IV dripped.
We're going Super Bowl style. Get after it.
For you. All right, man.
Boys.
Later.
Later.